Hey guys, and welcome to part 3 of the Dutch Rose Blanket Crochet Along. I'm going to be making the full granny hexagon today, which is motif 3. And I'm also going to make a separate video with motif 4, which is the half granny hexagon. So these are going to be pretty short because this motif is very simple. So I'm not going to do every single row separately, all because they're pretty much just the same thing repeated. So this color of Shavius R Tribe that I'm using today is New Leaf, and I have some orange peel on my finger, so that's going to be in the video forever now. I don't think I'm going to be editing this video, so this is kind of like a live moment with my orange peel fingers because I had oranges for lunch. Okay. So first I'm starting with a slip knot in the New Leaf, and I'm using a size F 3.75 millimeter for this yarn, which I think works really nicely. So you can go up or down just depending on your tension, but I chose this hook. I used to use a smaller hook for this yarn, but I found that a larger one works just fine. All right, so I'm going to chain 3 and then slip stitch in the first chain to make my ring, just as I've been doing for all the motifs, and then find my middle, and I'm going to do a beginning DC, which is just a single crochet, chain 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and chain 1 again for my kind of like my corner chain, and then I'll work a repeat of 2 DC, chain 1. Okay, 5 times. 2 DC, chain 1. Okay. All right, so there's my first, this is my beginning DC and my first chain. And then I have 2 DC, chain 1, 2 DC, chain 1. And I'm going to keep working until I have 5 total of these little 2DC groups. All right, so I'm going to work 3 more times of 2DC chain 1, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I've got it here. 5 times I've got 2DC. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now, since I made that beginning DC in the beginning, I've got my chain 1 on the hook right now, and I'm going to make one last double crochet. Okay, and then I've got my DC, my beginning DC here, which is single crochet, chain 1. So I'm going to work into that chain of the beginning DC with a slip stitch. All right, and I explained this in the video for my first motif, but I'll go ahead and tell you guys again, just since this video is going to be pretty short anyway. So the reason that I make my first double crochet as a single crochet chain 1, usually patterns have it as 3 chains, or there's some other techniques you can use to make the first DC so that you can kind of work up to your next row to achieve that height that you need. Well, the reason that I do it as single crochet chain 1 is I feel like it mimics the actual DC stitch very well. If and only if you let your slip stitch, your joining slip stitch, like I'll take it out and I'll show you guys what I mean right now before I start talking about it. So if you make your slip stitch all tight, it won't mimic the regular DC. It's crucial that you slip stitch into the chain of your beginning DC and just let it lie across the top. Don't be pulling on this slip stitch, and then you'll get what you want. So here's what I mean. If you look at these, this is my fake. This is my beginning DC and my slip stitch over the top. And this is my real DC. So if you look at these two, the anatomy is quite similar. And I'll tell you another thing that you need to do in order to achieve this correct look in a second. But you can see the single crochet down here looks just like this part down here. The chain looks just like this part. And the slip stitch makes my V on the top. And all those components make something that kind of equals to a full DC. So that's why I make my first DC that way, because it looks just like it. And even whenever I'm trying to frog something, I'm looking all around, and it's really difficult to find your first DC. And here's the trick here. If you work into that same stitch, you won't get what you want. You can't work into the same stitch because this slip stitch is laying over the top. So that's why in all my patterns, pretty much, I have you work into the next stitch for your next row or round. So in this case, the round 2 makes you work into this chain right here. So I'm going to just go right into my chain with my next beginning DC. Okay, I'll go ahead and make my single crochet chain 1. All right, and that is how, by working into the next stitch, you keep your slip stitch laying across that you joined with. So that's kind of like the method behind the madness. I know a lot of people say like my patterns are totally bonkers and I don't use the chain 3 chain up, but I don't use the chain 3 because it doesn't look anything like a DC. So I know it's probably fine for like most, but I don't know. For I just think this looks so much better. So that's why I go ahead and incorporate that into my patterns, versus having the chain 3 in there and then saying, but this is how I really do it. So that's just kind of to let you know. And I'm sure that a lot of folks are pulling that slip stitch tight, and that's why they're not getting what they're looking for with that first DC. So okay, anyway, so now that I'm past that, I've got my beginning DC. I'll chain 1, and then this round looks a lot like the last one. I've got 2 DC here. Okay, beginning DC, chain 1, 2 DC, all in the same chain space. And now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chain spaces all the way around, which I'm going to be working 2 DC, chain 1, 2 DC. Okay, so let me go ahead and get my chain on there. 2 DC, chain 1. Oops, left something behind there. There we go. Okay. DC, chain 1, 2 DC, all in the same chain space, and then I'll make a chain and then continue. So that's my repeat. My repeat is 2 DC, chain 1, 2 DC, chain 1, and then next space, 2 DC, chain 1, 2 DC, chain 1. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish all the way around until I get back to the very beginning. All right, so I've got my little hexagon kind of forming here. So I did all my repeats, and now I have to finish my first corner, because when I started it, I just did beginning DC, but there's really supposed to be 2 DC right there. So I work 1 DC in my first corner to complete it. And then I go ahead and join like I did last time into the top of the beginning DC with a slip stitch. Okay, and I'm going to start my next round straight in this chain space right here. Work straight into it, and I don't chain up for my single crochet for the beginning DC. Just work straight up into a single, and then finish my beginning DC, make my extra chain for the corner, and my corners are going to look exactly like this every time. 2 DC, chain 1, 2 DC. So in between, I'm just going to be working 2 DC into all the chain spaces all the way across. And after this round, I'm going to come back and show you guys pretty much almost finished the motif. So I made my chain, 2 DC into this chain space here. Okay, my chain, and now I'm ready to do my corner. And we've almost got our repeat here. Okay, so now I've got my corner here. My repeat is chain 1, 2 DC in the chain space, chain 1, 2 DC, chain 1, 2 DC in the corner. And that's my repeat. After that, I'll start over with the chain 1. I'm going to work that all the way around until I get to the beginning. Okay, and this is the last round that I'm going to show you guys completely. All right, I have all my repeats now, and I'm ready to put my DC in the first corner to complete it. Okay, my hexagon is looking great so far. I'm going to go ahead and join, and then I have to go all the way until I get 7 rounds just like this. So I will see you guys after I go ahead and have 7 rounds, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 7, because those are exactly the same. All I'm going to do is work 2DC, chain 1, 2DC in the corner, and then chain 1, 2DC, chain 1, 2DC, chain 1, and then I'll just start over again with that repeat of that corner. So all of the rounds are going to be that way. So in order to not bore you guys to death, I'm just going to go ahead and skip ahead to until I'm finished all the way with round 7. Okay, I'll see you guys in a sec. Alrighty, I'm back and I have 7 rounds now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and so the 8th round does not have the chains in between the double crochets on the side, which is why I decided to just work up to round 7, and then I'll show you guys round 8. So it starts the same and the corners are the same. Okay, beginning DC, chain 1, 2DC in the corner. All right, and then instead of working a chain in between, I'm just going to work 2DC in each of these chain spaces across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chain spaces. I'll work 2DC in each of those, and I'll be right back. And actually, I believe in the beginning, it should be beginning DC chain 2. And then we're going to work our 2DC in the corner, and then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 DC with no chain space in between. And then no chain space before the corner. And then 2DC, chain 2, 2DC in the corner. Okay, just to help it open up a little bit, and then we'll put our, and that might be, it might be chain 1, but anyway, I haven't looked at the pattern in a minute, but it'll be fine if you do either one, and then just work your repeat all the way around. 2DC in the chain spaces without any chain in between. Okay, so I'm just going to continue in this manner all the way around, and we're looking good. That's our round 8, and then we've only got one more round after this. Okay, be right back. Alrighty, so I've gone around making my DC with no chain space, and then my only chain space is in the corner now. And that just kind of tightens everything up. As you can see, no real puckering or anything, but if you don't do the chain on these rounds, then you're going to find that it pulls in like this, and then you're going to get like a snowflake type of spiked. So the chains in the first 7 rounds allows you to have an open center and totally straight sides. So that's why I made this pattern like that, and it matches the 7th round, the 8th round matches the stitch count on the second to last round of the rose motif. So now we're going to do our last round, which is just single crochet. We're going to make 3 single crochets in the corner, and then we're just going to work a single crochet in every stitch across. So this round is super easy, and it's also the same as the final round in the rose motif. So I'm just going to work this round and show you guys the motif whenever it's all finished. All right, I'll see you guys in just a sec. Alrighty, so it just got a lot louder in here, but I'm cooking. But I've done with round 9. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's just the single crochet rounds with 3 singles in each corner, and then just doing single crochet in all the stitches around. I've cut a long tail to use to whip stitch my motifs together, And here it is compared. I know a lot of folks, if your DC stitches are real tall, then you might have trouble matching up the size with your rose hexagon, but you can, a lot of folks have omitted, if that has happened to them, they've omitted the 8th round and then just evened out the chain, evened out the stitch count on the 7th round to make it, you know, match up. So mine is a little bigger, but also whenever you see, it's like, you can see that it matches up, but then it's like a little bit larger. But when you block your blankets, or even when you start to just sew them together, these hexagons open up a lot more, and these will kind of just stay the same because of the lace, the lacy nature of the rose hex. It'll kind of open up. But anyway, so that's the full hexagon, and I might go ahead and release the half hexagon tomorrow, but this one is the rose, and I've just collected together kind of all of the rose motifs that I've been working with our tribe, and kind of gathering them together and seeing how big I want to make this sample blanket. I know it's going to be small, but I want to add in some more of the granny hexagon. So I just wanted to have a little play with all of my hexies that I've done so far with the Shape Just Our Tribe, and I'm loving it. So I will see you guys soon, and I'll post this video shortly, and hope you guys enjoy. Y'all happy crafting, y'all.